All right. Another day, another dollar. What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Today we are putting in new spark plugs in the N55 OG M2. As you guys probably know, I upgraded my tune recently from stage 1 to stage 2 boot mode by Pro Tuning Freaks. And anytime that you're tuning a car, you do want to consider changing out the spark plugs because the gapping should be a little bit different and the brand of spark plugs is also important to consider. So I went with the NGK 97506 spark plugs. I'll have them linked down below. The gapping that boot mode advises is 0.022 to 0.023 of a gap. So I've actually already gapped mine to 0.023. I'll show you guys the gapping tool that I use and all the tools we need to do this project. So this video is mainly geared towards cars with tunes. If you are running a tune on a car, it is smart to change out your spark plugs. I actually was doing a pull the other day and I did have a misfire on one of my cylinders, which is probably due to my spark plugs. I already knew it was probably time to switch these up. Anytime you do tune a car, the longevity or lifespan of a spark plug decreases. So rather than doing them like every 50,000 mile intervals, it's more like 20 or 30,000 mile intervals when it comes to a tuned vehicle. All right, so we have everything here laid out in front of us. These are my spark plugs. I already have them gapped to 0.023. This is the gapping tool that I prefer to use. You guys can use like a coin if you want to. I just like these a little bit better. But everyone has their own preference when it comes to gapping. And then these are actually the boxes. So they come in sets of 4s. Obviously this is a 6-cylinder, so I needed 6. I just went ahead and got 3 boxes, so I have 2 sets. I'll just keep another set around for the next time we need to do these. And as you guys can see here, these are the Laser Iridium NGKs 97506. If you guys need these, I'll have them linked down below. I'm gonna use my little LED light to get into the engine bay and just light it up. We're gonna need a torque wrench to torque these spark plugs back down. You'll likely need an extension, something like this, to pull off the ignition coil. And then you have a 10mm, we have a T30, I believe. We have an E18 that we're gonna use, a couple of ratchet wrenches, and then this little handheld tool for sockets. And then last but not least, I also have this tool that was sent out by Keys Motorsports. See, they got their cool little logo on it. So it is a 14mm, and there's a few reasons why I actually prefer this one. It has a magnet inside of it, so it pulls out the spark plug, it just sticks right in there. And then it also has no knuckle. So there's 0 knuckle here, and it just fits in there a lot easier than having like a giant knuckle on this side. And then obviously it has the long extension and it's also thin walled. So this is like the perfect spark plug tool. If you guys need this, I'll have it linked down below. Huge shout out to Keys Motorsports for sending that out. But this should be everything that we need to go ahead and do this job. I'm gonna kind of lead you guys through the process real quick. It's not that difficult. We're just gonna take off the engine cover, take out these plastic pieces, take out this rubber piece. There is a brace back here that we'll need to remove. In order to get to the back 2 ignition coils and spark plugs, there is like a brace that gets in the way, so we'll have to take that off. And then it's just a matter of removing the ignition coils, unplugging them, pulling out the spark plugs, and putting in the new ones. I think that the most important part of this whole process is just making sure that your gaps are perfect on your spark plugs. 0.022 and 0.023 are the gaps. Anywhere between there, obviously, is gonna be fine. I went with 0.023 on mine. Just line this up in there, make sure the gap was perfect, and we're good to go. So that should cover everything we need to knock this job out. Shouldn't take you more than like 30 minutes to get done. It's pretty easy. Let's go ahead and start the process. All right, so first things first, we have these little 10mm that run across the top here. You're just gonna quarter turn those counterclockwise, bump, 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 bump. And then this whole plastic piece pops right off like that. The engine cover literally just pops right off like that. Set that aside. And then on the other side, we have another 3 10 millimeters. Go ahead and pop those out. And then this plastic piece comes right out as well. This all right here is live wire, so it might be a good idea to go ahead and just cover that up so you don't hit it with your wrench when you are taking out the E18. Let's pull this rubber out first. In order to do that, you're just separating it like this. This is just gonna give you a little bit more room to get in here. And we can probably just pull out this foam. It's easy to rip this foam too, so just be careful when you're pulling it out. I see a lot of people that don't even run this. I mean, I don't know, I just feel like BMW put it in there for a reason, so I keep putting it back. Let's go ahead and take out this E18. So for this other E18, it's right back here. That's the 2 18s are what are connecting this strut brace together, so we have to remove this. So go ahead and pop out this little plastic piece back here. Like so, there's one. Just gonna take a second and cover up that live wire. So here is the E18 that we're removing. And then if we look back here, those are the other 2 E18s. And those are what are holding these 2 strut braces together. They go across the front. You need to take off this entire piece. On my car, I think it's 1 piece. Yeah, it's 1 piece. So on the 335s, the F30s, these are actually 2 pieces, and on the M2, it's just 1 piece. So you're gonna take out that one, and then the 2 middle ones, and then the one on the other side. And then that whole thing comes out. Unfortunately, you do have to take that off in order to reach these spark plugs back here. So just go ahead and do it, and then get it out of the way, and then we can start working on the ignition coils and the spark plugs. Next up, you guys are gonna see a bunch of 10 mils. There's 4 on each side. Go ahead and remove those to remove this whole entire piece up here. We will have to take that off in order to get back here as well. We don't need to take it off completely, just move it out of the way so we can access the ignition coil. All right, so once we have all that out of the way, we get enough room to work in here. There is one T30 that we need to remove. In order to get to that, just pop out this O2 sensor. Literally just pops out like that. And then you have direct access to it. And then once we do that, we have all the room we need to reach all of the ignition coils. All right, so that part is obviously optional, but there was a lot of dust and stuff and dirt that flew out of there, so it's probably a good idea to just take some kind of air and push it into there to release all that dirt and dust. You can also go ahead and unclip both of those sensors from this. Just set it aside. It's gonna give you a little bit more room to work. All right, so here's the first ignition coil. And the way that we're doing this is there's a little clip on them, and you just undo the clip and then they come undone. And then we're just gonna take a socket extension, stick it through this hole and pull it up. I'll show you guys exactly what I mean. So literally just lifting that up. And if you lift it up all the way, it'll push out this connection right here and move that out of the way. Then you can go ahead and take an extension and stick it through the ignition coil hole and pull up. And that will release it for you. Inside of there is our spark plug. You can barely see it down there. We're gonna go ahead and get that 14 millimeter keys socket and just pull out the spark plug. And then once you have it all the way done, just pull it out. This has a magnet on it, so that's why it's so nice. There's the old one and the new one. Pretty fried up, man. It was definitely time. And I'm at 35,000 miles. I don't think these have ever been changed, at least not with me, so, and especially running a tune. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and put in our new spark plug using our same socket that we just used, and we're gonna use a torque wrench. It is 23 Newton meters, which is 16.96 foot-pounds of torque. All right. right, so we got the new plug in there. And now it's just a matter of reassembling everything. Your ignition coil should be seated only one way. You'll see that they have this little like end over here. Well, there's actually a spot that end sits right into. You look right under here, you're gonna see this right here, this little groove. This groove right here fits right inside that groove. So you're literally just gonna put this in, make sure it's all the way down, and it should seat right into place inside that groove. Then of course, go ahead and plug everything back in. All right, so that is it for the first one. So basically you're just repeating that process all the way across here until you get all 6 done. And then of course, make sure you don't forget to put everything back to where it was. You got your T30, your 10 millimeters across, and then of course your strut brace over there, put that back on. And then obviously your engine cover. So it's literally the same process all the way through. So I'm just gonna do a little time lapse for you guys, do the rest of them, and then we'll hop in the car, make sure everything starts up well, maybe go for a little drive, see how it drives. All right, cool, we're done. Got them all in, just gonna put everything back together, fire her up. All right, dude, cakewalk. Here are all of the old plugs. This one was extremely dark. It's probably the one that misfired, but yeah, definitely time. These are definitely way past due. Let's go ahead and start the car up and then go for a little drive, make sure everything's good. Dude, started up super nice. So when I had the other plugs in, I was having a rough idle issue at startup, and it seems that the new plugs took care of that because there's 0 rough idle right now. It was really only during cold start, and you could tell. It was just bogging down and the RPMs were kind of all over the place. And then I read up on it, and of course if you have a tuned car, that you should be running the NGKs, and they should be gapped at that 0.022 or 0.023, which is what I went with. But that seemed to fix exactly what I was dealing with, so we're good. Just a little note, as I was installing those spark plugs one by one, I was just double checking the gap on every single one. So I did gap them beforehand, but I just wanted to make sure, so as I went through each one on each cylinder, I was just double checking the gap for each one. It's always like a placebo effect thing, but it really does feel like it's driving a lot smoother. Even at startup, it just felt like, the car just felt like it started up a lot cleaner, and idle was a lot more smooth. I mean, honestly, you guys, if you're gonna tune your car, that's probably something you should just do right when you tune it, because inevitably after tuning, you're gonna have to change out the spark plugs, and the way to go are the NGKs. Like I said, gap them at 0.022, 0.023, and that's what Pro Tuning Freaks, that's what they recommend. So I'm just kind of going off what they say. Carrie over at Jordan Tuning is going to be tuning this car. Obviously, we're trying to put out some pretty good numbers, so this is just one of those things, you know, along with maintenance. It's always a good idea to just change out those plugs anytime you guys are tuning your cars. It's also funny because I know so many people that flash their cars and like they don't even talk about doing the spark plugs. So you should definitely be doing the spark plugs. So that's just a little 3rd gear pull, and it felt good all the way up. So I've got some awesome videos set up for you guys that I'm gonna be recording this weekend. Super excited, and we have the first car show since the whole quarantine thing. We got a couple of the guys coming in town, so it's gonna be a bunch of 335s and my car and some other people. It's gonna be a good time. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you upgrade your spark plugs. If you're gonna tune your car or you're just at like 50,000 miles, it's time to do your plugs. I was at 35,000 and obviously this car tuned, so it was definitely time. My spark plugs were in bad condition. The car feels absolutely great now. No complaints, happy with it. Seems like 0.023 was the way to go. But I will continue running this setup, and then if I run into any issues down the line, I'll let you guys know. Make sure you guys check out all the links in the description. We got the spark plugs that we used, all the tools and everything. And then also there will be a blog up. By the time this posts, there will be a blog on replacing your spark plugs as well, with all the information, all the details, and step-by-step instructions on how to do it. Anyways, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure making this video for you today. Please do consider subscribing, comment down below, like this video, and hit that bell notification. And just like that, I'm gonna get my Starbucks. Peace.